This is Stacy Marshall with Printwear Magazine.
Matt Vassallo with the WritingStoneWorld.com.
Richard Greaves with ScreenMaking.com.
Brian Walker with RTP Apparel.
You are listening to the Two Regular Guys
Podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs.
Terry Combs.
Terry Combs.
And
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Keep on listening.
I don't know if these guys are that regular.
I didn't know where to jump in there. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. It is Friday, July 6, 2018. I'm Terry Combs with Equipment Zone. You can also find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at aaronmontgomery.info. Who is this stranger that is here with me? Hold on a second. Eric, where are you? I don't know who this guy is.
I thought about easing you into me being back by putting on a baseball cap like Aaron or Eric wears, but
awesome. All right.
Well, been 2 weeks.
Been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we missed you. Glad to have you back, and but thanks so much to Eric for filling in, and appreciate all his help and support. Terry, my experience last week at SkillsUSA was pretty awesome. I actually got to do a small business Saturday about it last Saturday to kind of talk about everything. And but you and I want to talk today about what we can do to help students and others and turn that into your own stream of future employees.
Absolutely. Kind of you being at SkillsUSA, we started having a conversation about that, and here we are, turned into a show, and I think it's going to be an interesting show, talking about how we can not only help students and help folks looking for jobs, but help our own companies as well. So the old win-win, huh? Yep,
win-win. Maybe another win in there. It's society for the greater good. You know, we can build all sorts of wins. Nice positive stuff. Christine Shreve is checking in. Says, hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome in, Christine. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to having you on again next week. So
absolutely,
stay tuned for that. Some good stuff. Terry, what about any news items before we dive in here?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Bertram Capital has announced the sale of Romark to Windjammer Capital investors. Bertram Capital announced the sale of EXT Acquisitions, which is the parent company of Romark and affiliated companies, to Windjammer Capital investors. The terms of the transaction not disclosed, but according to Romark, the sale of the company was completed June 26th, so just about a week ago. So that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if there are any changes over at Romark.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Romark is kind of the company that bought up a few other companies in the industry, Johnson Plastics, I think Laser Bits, and maybe a couple more. So they've definitely been going through a lot of changes, some personnel changes over there. Lost a couple of their sublimation folks over at Johnson Plastics, and here they're looking for new employees. So if you're looking for a job, maybe reach out to Romark. But
this show's all about finding a job.
Absolutely. So good stuff. Real quick, Terry, Jeff is checking in with us again. Jeff always has some great insights, so appreciate him tuning in weekly and providing his feedback. Jeff, great to see you this morning. Terry, the news bit that came across my desk was Teesprings teams up with YouTube for apparel merchandising. I thought this was really interesting. Let me read kind of the news item first. Teesprings, a platform for custom merchandise creation and purchase, announces an integration with YouTube. Through the agreement, YouTube creators advertise Teespring merchandise directly below their videos. So kind of a interesting bit there. Well, we'll post a link to the full article, but to me, this is kind of a play from Google to compete with Amazon merch, and both Google and Teesprings kind of interesting to see, you know, the more that, these big companies come into our little decorator space here, the more we have to be prepared and looking for how we can take advantage of some of these things. So definitely very interesting.
We had Mark Coudray on the show a couple of years ago, and you might recall him talking about Teesprings coming into the marketplace and how they were going to really revolutionize what it is we do. And then Teesprings kind of took a dip, and then the question was, hey, was that such a great idea after all? And now they've they've obviously redirected. So this will be interesting to see how it turns out. On first blush, it looks like a really awesome idea, though.
Yeah, definitely. See what it says. In fact, Eric says that is huge. If you're the kind of person like me who doesn't watch TV but does have favorite YouTube presenters, those brands are crucial. So
excellent point. And I think Eric's right. It's a new world of certainly advertising and promotion, getting your name out there. So a show that we did recently, and it could bear another show.
Yeah, absolutely. So just keep I've posted a few things out on our social media and some other things too that I saw. There's a Japanese company coming to the US market soon, and they're talking about changing things to kind of fast fashion, custom apparel kind of stuff, where one of the quotes in the articles that stood out to me was we're going to get rid of sizes. There's not going to be small, medium, and extra large. And we've talked about it on this show before, the thoughts of an Aaron size or a Terry size shirt and not necessarily a large or an extra large or whatever, the schmedium that I like to wear.
as coined by our friend Ryan Moore.
Good stuff. All right, Terry. Well, I want everybody to make sure that they stay tuned to the end of the show. Terry is going to be sharing 5 things to say before an owner/senior manager goes on vacation. So
I thought that was really pertinent for July 4th week.
Yeah, definitely. There's we should have probably done this about a month or so ago, but maybe next year they'll get this right. So
even a month ago, if you're not able to do these things, it's still too late. So
good point.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for listening. We are so pleased to bring you this weekly show since February 2013. We're well into our 6th season. We always try to avoid those rants and lecturings and sellings, and we would love to have you visit our webpage, which is 2 regularguys.com. And I'm going to buy that website, Aaron, 2 regularguys.com. Anyway, we check out the show notes. Anytime we make reference to someone's website or an article or whatever, it's always linked there on our website. So you can suggest shows for us, and a lot of the shows we do come from that. So you can recommend those at our contact us page at 2regularguys.com. We are also all over the internet, which you all should be. And you can find us at 2 regular guys. If you are watching us live right now on Facebook, we would love to have your comments, insights, questions, suggestions. And this is a great opportunity for business owners and managers out there to offer up things that you've done or things that you're thinking about doing to bring people into your shops, into your businesses, and help them grow and help to grow your businesses as well. But before we do all that, Aaron, let's hear a word from our sponsor, SGIA, the Specialty Graphic Imaging Association, and talking about the upcoming SGIA Expo.
Hi, this is SGI's Dan Marks, inviting you to attend the SGI Expo in Las Vegas this October. We're going to show you what's on the horizon, with more than 500 exhibitors showing the latest in dye sub, screen, embroidery, DTG, and more. We have 72 educational sessions, including a garment decoration track, and a special luncheon just for garment decorators. Registration is free through September 19th. Learn more at sgia.org/expo2rg.
Yeah, we love that. So if you guys are going to go look at the expo, make sure you use that sgia.org/expo2rg. And because, hey, our friends at SGIA are tracking the folks that come from this show. So help us out by going to that site.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to get over and check that out. I'm super excited, actually. I'm heading out on Wednesday morning, Terry, and there's a extra track that they're running, a small business track, some 40-minute presentations the day before the expo opens. And I get to be part of that. I'm going to be talking marketing, digital marketing, my favorite subject. So it's going to be awesome to get to meet a whole bunch of small businesses and continue on my things I like to do with working with small businesses. So that should be a great time.
And Aaron, I'm loving the fact that all these shows, are trying new things, and ISS doing their TED Talks, or what they call shop talks, that are 15 or 20 minutes, and NBM doing things with 2-day shows and 3-day shows, and trying to get into other locations, and now with SGIA with this, it's it's a changing world, and I'm really glad to see the folks that are bringing information to our listeners and to the folks out in the industry. They're trying new things to reach those people. So more power to them.
Absolutely, it's great to see things continue to change, and we're happy to be part of that. So. A couple other quick things here, Terry. Got to say good morning to a good friend, Cheryl Kuchek. We've had on the show before. She's tuning in, and I've got a couple other comments to pop up there. And this is funny. So here's the first comment you can see, Terry. But then, well, you can do a little bit of both. Who knows? It could be fun. If you're checking the podcast version out, make sure you head over to facebook.com/2regularguys and see all the great comments. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can, but don't always get that. So you got to go check that out. But Terry, should we dive into what we wanted to talk about today?
Let's do, Aaron, and let's start with you giving us a recap of your experience last week at SkillsUSA.
Absolutely. So those of you that have been following, we had Johnny Shell on not too long ago to he kind of coordinates the whole piece. For those of you who don't know what SkillsUSA is, it's a high school and post-secondary, college program that they have set up for all the skills, the trades out there. So this is things like auto mechanics and HVAC repair, and everything from like robotics, and the list is wide ranging. The hair care, the cooking, hospitality industry, and within that group we had a nice representation, both screen printing and sublimation competitions going on. So basically the way this works is these kids compete in a local competition to earn the right to go to their state competition. And then from the state competition, they earn the right to go to this national competition. And it's been held in Louisville, Kentucky for a number of years now. And Nationals is this incredible event. They take up 2 floors, 2 halls at the Kentucky Exposition Center there. And like I said, you can see everything from, the hair care, nails, but then robotics and 3D graphics building and cooking and hospitality, and then you've got HVAC, you've got kids working on motorcycle, kids working on boats, kids working on auto and all sorts of crazy stuff, and just a massive event. And you get groups like the Army out there sponsoring. Harley Davidson had a big presence there. Just tons of really fantastic stuff going on, and it was so cool to be a part of that. So that's kind of the rundown. It was interesting. They had the Secretary of Education, the federal Secretary of Education there, Betsy DeVos. In fact, it was funny. James Orlani posted a picture, and it just turned into this firestorm of politics.
Of course,
of course. But the fact that this program is that their whole goal is to bridge the skills gap. It's not a dirty word to be an HVAC repairman, or it's not a dirty word to be a screen printer, or, things like that. These trade skills that aren't the sexy, marketing job or whatever they may be. And not sexy necessarily, but there are great jobs out there, lots of available jobs. We just don't have the skilled workers there. So SkillsUSA is really trying to bridge those skills gaps. And in fact, a guy that's really a big part of it too is Mike Rowe, the host of Dirty Jobs, and he's really been heavily involved in skills over the years. The keynote this year was actually a NASCAR driver, and I'm blanking on which one it was now.
I'd help you, but I don't know a thing about NASCAR.
I think it was Kevin Harvick.
Turn right.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But so anyhow, really cool
left?
stuff.
I don't know. Somebody's
awesome.
going to jump in, and that'll be my political statement for the day.
Christine says there are sexy marketing jobs, and I would say yes at Enmart. That's the best one there is, I'm sure. All right. So anyhow, Terry, I just wanted to kind of give everybody the big picture overview of what this is all about. And the amazing part, the really cool part, is these kids are into it. And you know, they're thankful to be there. They're hardworking. This means a lot to them. And, you know, in turn, they go out and they become the next generation of the people that are going to be listening to this show when whoever takes it over for us when we retire. You know, it could be one of them, or, you know, those kinds of things. And, you know, I was really fortunate. I got to judge. So my job there this year was to judge the mug making competition portion. And it's a 2-day competition. And the mugs actually took place on the first day. And we got it all of the kids done in the first day. And what that meant for me is that the second day I was there just kind of hanging out, helping out a little bit. I really didn't help much at all the second day, but because of my job duties as a judge were done, I could actually talk to the kids and get to know them. You know, the first day, you know, they wanted to come talk to me, and I'm like, well, you know, I'm not really supposed to know anything but the number on your badge there, so don't tell me where you're from. You know, you want it to all be fair, but afterwards, it was really cool to be able to kind of get to know some of them a little bit and talk to him about, you know, there was one young man that I got to talk to. This was his first year doing sublimation. They just brought it into his school. And I mean, he was planning his whole life path based on what he was going to be able to do in the sublimation world. And the same thing over in the screen printing side. You know, the kids were looking at this as a future, whether it's opening their own shops or going to work for somebody or something like that. And the really cool part was the progression. So this was my 4th year there. And the first couple of years, you know, you had some kids that struggled a little bit. This year, Epson provided a 60, what's the 44-inch Epson printer, Terry? You sell
sublimation.
Sublimation. Oh, I think Terry is frozen. Oh, there he is.
It's the F6200, Aaron.
Thank you. Okay, I couldn't remember 61 or 62.
$64.95 this month.
All right, there you go. Well, they brought that in and had it there for the kids to print off of, and then right next to that was the Hicks 4464 wide format heat press, and Jersey donated a bunch of shirts to the cause, and they actually printed all over shirts. It was awesome. Incredible. And some of them had never seen a press that big before. You know, 16 by 20 was the biggest they've ever seen. But you know what? They figured it out right away. They said, you know what? A press is a press is a press. It just happens to be a little bit bigger. And every single one of those shirts came out incredible. It looked great. I mean, I would have said they were all saleable. You know, some of them had a few little smiles and, you know, just some little technical things that maybe they could do better. But each one of those shirts could have been sold to a customer for $40-$50, you know. So really cool stuff to see that happening. You know, Hicks was a big part of it. David Gross from Condi Systems was there himself. So he took the time out of his busy schedule to be there. And it was great to get to catch up with him and talk to him and how much it meant to him to be a part of this. You know, his company's been a part of this activity for a long time with donating, you know, products and equipment and stuff like that. But to have him there was really cool too. And I'm not sure the kids really understood how cool that was to have, you know, somebody like David Gross, who's been kind of the sublimation guy for so long. So anyhow, really cool. That's kind of the recap of it. There were, I believe, 24 kids in the screen printing side of it and 20 kids in the sublimation side of it. And that's growing each year. So just want to keep that growth going.
You know, Aaron, I obviously have too many friends in the industry because Facebook lit up last week with and Twitter with pictures and comments from folks who were on their way there. They're taking pictures of all the events going on and that sort of thing. So it's really cool to see. And you know, last year you and I promised Johnny that we would get the word out that for people to contribute and be a part of it, and hopefully we were a little part of maybe inspiring one or two people to participate a little bit more. And Aaron, as you were talking, I was thinking, I wonder how many people in our industry came through that program. And hey, if you're out there listening and you were a part of that, let us know. And we'd like to talk about it. And an example I was thinking of while you're talking, and it wasn't actually SkillsUSA, but Brian Walker, with Image Armor and RTP Apparel, he talks about taking a tour of a screen printing shop when he was in high school, and Alan Howe actually took him on from. And sorry, Alan, you're. Alan Howe took him on a tour of a very large screen printing business, and he never left the industry. So it's I think just a really good example of the impact that we can all have on folks, students, and bring them along into the industry that way.
Yeah, it was really cool. A couple of quick comments, Terry, I wanted to share here. Jeff said, we just built a $133 million tech school. They are doing a phenomenal job, all of the trades and arts. And then he follows that up with, there's a waiting list to hire the kids for apprenticeships and full-time jobs. So definitely a growing part of just kind of, like I said, bridging that skills gap. And there's a lot of opportunities to do that. So one other one here, Terry, Christine said, is this only screen printing and sublimation because it's an SGA thing? I would be interested to see embroidery added too. So Christine, the answer to that is, so SGI has stepped in to help. Basically, the drivers of this are the schools, though. So, the schools need to have these programs in place, and they need to have enough schools participating to add a skill, a group to it. And so the schools, and really what the driver of that has been, the screen printing companies out there have done a really good job of going to the schools and saying, hey, get yourself a screen printing program put together and we'll give you some equipment, and same thing with sublimation is, the schools are building these sublimation businesses inside of their schools as a training curriculum piece. And so really it's up to the embroidery companies, the embroidery folks like yourself, you get together with some of the machine folks and, get some programs set up in the schools. And then once they have enough of the schools that are doing this, that they can, I can't remember the exact number, but there is a number of needed schools that have to participate to have an actual national competition. So,
well, and Aaron, let me add to that. I talk to schools all the time. As an equipment sales person, I would bet that, and this is just a guess number, but we probably started up a dozen high schools this past school year on direct-to-garment printing. And commonly, when I have conversations with that teacher that's involved in it, they'll say something like, we're already doing screen printing, or we're already doing cut vinyl, or we're already doing sublimation. Now we want to add direct-to-garment printing, or we're already doing this, we want to add sublimation. And so, Christine, those teachers and those programs are already in existence now. And I think adding something like embroidery would be an awesome opportunity, and put a single head machine into some of these schools. And at this point now with direct-to-garment printing, they're not looking for free equipment. The schools are actually buying equipment, and it's I think it's just a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've been getting some great comments flowing here. And, I think what we can do is we can kind of coordinate with Johnny and see kind of what the steps are to take place. We've got lots of folks, Christine talking about it, Eric saying he'll help with the curriculum. Nancy saying I'd be happy to help out the embroidery side with ZSK machines. We've got Jeff saying, count me in. I'll reach out to the tech school and find out what they are doing. I mean, we've got a community here, Terry, that's doing some awesome things. And
absolutely,
all it takes is a few folks like this with some passion. And man, this is really cool. There's some. Just keep the comments going there, folks. I'm posting as many of them up on the video side here as I can. And Man, Terry, we could just be done here and it'd be a great show. But
yeah, let's wrap it up. No. And for anybody who's just listening to the podcast, just lots of comments about, how can we help? Let me help with the curriculum. Maybe we can do a turnkey operation for that schools can add. And that's the big thing. The schools have to, again, I deal with this all the time. They have to have a complete package. This is everything you need to do the program. A lot of times they'll say, we want to have enough inks and supplies to do, 5,000 shirts. We want to, and they will pre-buy warranties through 3 years and all this kind of thing. And, the companies out there that might be looking at it, you do have to deal with school POs. I know a lot of us are used to getting money up front, but I've never been burned on a school PO. And usually the minute the invoice gets there, even though it says net 30, that you're getting payment within a week, and great to work with these folks. And I think maybe we've lit up a little fire here for some folks.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have, and man, this is why I love doing this, Terry, is we get an opportunity to to get all these things going. We got Isabella saying, I need ideas for soft skills to teach my high school students. Hey, Eric, how about some digitizing? There's a skill that probably is very necessary out there. So Christine says, totally doable, Jeff. Yeah, the details need to be worked out, but we can do it. I know you guys can do it. That's the great part about this, Terry. We've got people smarter than us involved. So
exactly right. As Henry Ford says, I don't need to know how to do it. I just need to hire people to know how to do it.
There we go. Awesome. All right. Well, we are the connectors here. Let's be the connectors, Terry. All right, Terry. Well, let's dive in a little bit here. The comments keep coming, and man, I can't tell you how much we appreciate all that. Let's dive in though, Terry, as to some things that we can just do as businesses outside of building some of these programs. These programs will help tremendously, but what can you do yourself? Maybe talk to us a little bit about like an internship, for example, Terry. Explain what you think might work in that scenario.
Sure, absolutely. And this is something that I've done in shops before, and in larger shops. An internship is really an opportunity for a high school or a college student to come into a business and learn all aspects of that part of the business. And an intern might be somebody out on the production floor. It might be somebody in the art department. Heck, it might be somebody in the accounting department. But here's the thing about internships. Don't think of an internship as free labor for the summer. Now, a lot of internships, you don't get paid, but there is an obligation on your part to have some kind of a curriculum. And, as kind of quote what Eric was saying, build a curriculum for something like this, where you step by step teach somebody, a student, about your business or about the different job functions. And I know when I was in college, I was required to do an internship. I wasn't in the industry. I was in my degree's in journalism, but to graduate, I had to do an internship. And I remember all my friends were just stunned when I said, "Well, no, they're paying me." I was
paid you to go to our bar.
They paid me to go to Scholes Moody Advertising in Chicago and write copy for the summer.
Okay, all right.
and we didn't have any of those cool, sexy clients like you see on TV. Our clients were like all industrial machinery and things like that. Really, like doing ads for people in our industry. Workhorse Products or M&R or Epson or somebody like that. But yes, they paid me to do it. Was it an ideal situation? Yes and no, because a lot of people think it's a great idea to do an internship program, but then they get busy and they don't follow through with it. My daughter was in resort management at Arizona State University. And so her internship, some of the folks would be, they'd be ready. They'd be going point by point through, here's how we do this, here's how we do this. But other people would say, oh yeah, hey, could you sort out my Rolodex here? And yeah, they really had a Rolodex. But But anyway, I think an internship is, hey, I think you should pay somebody to come in if they're doing labor for you, but you don't have to, because again, this is to go on a student's resume that I accomplished this task, but have a program for them where, you step by step go through it. And when they're done with the summer, they can say, hey, I did some scheduling. I set up a press. I know how to, the time and temperature for doing those mugs that you were talking about, Aaron. So, here's another opportunity for you too. It's getting some people into your shop that might have some fresh ideas about things, because, if you're a garment decorator, for instance, having that student in there talking about what them and their friends are looking for in graphics and in garments and things like that, sometimes we get a little set in our ways about what we do, and having a little fresh input from somebody in an internship program, I think, could go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. I think you made a really good point, though, that it's not free labor. Like I said, you need to figure out what the why of you doing an internship at your business is. If it's just about bringing something to your company, like I said, free labor for the summer, probably not going to work out for anybody. Nobody's going to be happy, and you're not going to be happy. But if you're doing it because you do actively want to help these kids grow and get these, Brett Bowden just said, I believe the children are our future. Absolutely.
Hey, I'm going to write that down and copyright that, Brett.
All right. But anyways, my point being is that, like you said, Terry, have a program, have it. Because a lot of times having an intern is actually more work for you than just doing it yourself, because you are doing training and you've only got them for a short amount of time. So by the time they really get good at these skills, they're probably going to be done with the program. So you're going to spend a lot of time working with them. But it does a couple things. Like you said, it gives you fresh perspectives. It also helps you understand where your processes might be broken, because you're actively training somebody. So when you do actually hire somebody for that role, you've got a training program in place. You know what the friction points are, where people might struggle to understand your way of doing business, some things like that. So make sure that you're going at this the right way, you're doing it for the right reasons, but you're going to also get plenty of it out yourself, And then my last point on an internship, Terry, do not bring in an intern and say, okay, you're going to do my social media, because I have no idea how Instagram works. Just don't do it. Having your intern be your social media people, I believe, is not the way to go. So,
but chances are pretty good that whoever that person is, they do know more about it than you do. but Aaron, and let me add something else too. I think it needs to be. I think you really have to define it. Maybe it's a production management intern. Maybe it's a creative / production art intern. And by defining it that way, I think it makes it easier for you to lay out what the program is as well.
Yeah, definitely. I giggle right now because Brett's basically just singing a song in the comments. So, and then Christine said, "Oh, great, that song's going to be stuck in my head all day." So, hey, singing, talking about internships, it's all good stuff here on Two Red. So,
I got a message from Brett a couple of days ago mentioning to me that he was going to be in Phoenix in August and asking me if that was a good idea. Of course, it was.
Yeah, it's great if you like to cook hard-boiled or cook eggs on the sidewalk, or that's real, people. I've actually done that before. You can't actually cook an egg on the sidewalk in Phoenix, Arizona in August. So, anyways. All right, Terry. Well, let's talk about let's go from internships. Let's talk about actual paid positions, maybe short time, summer break type positions. Exactly. Talk to us about that.
Well, a lot of us have projects that we never have time to get to. We can't pull our staff away to do those projects, but maybe over a summer, hire 1, 2, 3 college students or high school students to work on that project. And maybe this is a small one, but I remember when I was in Kansas City, one of our auxiliary companies was a dye house. and they had some issues with during the dyeing process, causing some holes in garments. Well, what happened with all those garments is they got tossed into boxes and piled, higher than your head and pushed into a corner, because at some point in time we have to look at every one of these. So the owner of the company came to me and said, "Hey, what are your sons doing this summer?" And I said, "Well, looking for jobs." And so both my sons and one of their friends were hired to pull those boxes off the shelf, inspect every garment for holes, front and backside. And yeah, was it tedious? Yes. Did they make some pretty good money doing it? They did. And so that was a project that we probably never would have gotten to with our current staff, because there was just too many other things to do. So, things like that, you probably have things in your own shop right now that you could hire somebody over the summer or over Christmas break, that sort of thing, to do these kind of projects. And I think it's also an opportunity for people to build art portfolios or their management resumes, that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I noticed in the notes you had something in there that I crushed in the last time, that where bringing them in to build a social media program. And I'm okay with bringing them in to get their ideas and stuff, but to just hand over the keys to the castle and say, "Hey, do this," and then all of a sudden your social media looks great for about 2 months, but it doesn't really even reflect who you are, and then all of a sudden it's gone. I think Christine actually just posted something that I think kind of leads into that. It says, "Temp workers can be a huge help. We've used them for bigger short-term projects in the past. The thing to remember is that you need to be organized when you bring these people in, and you need to be clear about the duration of the project and what's expected." And I think this whole thing builds into that, where, yes, you need to be clear. You need to understand that just because they're there for a short time, your business is hopefully still going to go on. So you have to design these things and in such a way that you are prepared to take it beyond that. And if you're going to then take over the social media after getting some bits and pieces from some of the younger generation there, then understand that and make it a collaborative program. So definitely good points there. And my take on this, Terry, is I guess the biggest thing to me is to maybe almost treat it a bit like the internship too, though, where you are having to make sure that, like Christine said, that you're very organized, exactly what's going to happen. In the business that I'm working with Pick the Gift, there is certainly an ebb and a flow. During certain times of the year, we're not certainly as busy, come Thanksgiving time until, 5 days before Christmas, it's a flat out war. Basically, it feels like, and, the important part is that you have people in place that, are kind of leading those sections, those sections of your business. Maybe it's a press operation or screen cleaning if you're a screen printer, or in sublimation, somebody doing the hard surface stuff and somebody who's working on, maybe you've got a press team on a rotary press or something like that. But you always have to have the key people in place there that understand, that can kind of do the projects. But then when it gets time to really dig in and go, and you have to bring on more people, those people have to be able to step back and be more the coordinators. When, for example, with sublimation, some of the biggest parts of sublimation is just all the prep work that goes into it. If I'm creating 1,500 mugs, the actual pressing is not that big of a deal. It's putting them in and out of an oven or however you're putting those together. It's the trimming of the prints. It's the adhering of the prints correctly to the mugs. It's the putting the wraps on it, or all of those different prep work parts of it that really are key. And you can have, 3 or 4 people working on that and one people just pressing, over and over and over again. So make sure that you design your production in such a way that when it's slower, you're fine with the full-time staff that you have, but your full-time staff and your processes are set up in such a way that when you bring on additional temp staff, you can kind of slowly train them, but really they're just doing what they're told by the person that's kind of in charge of that particular section. And so it's maybe just cutting this piece of paper over and over exactly the same way. So.
And Aaron, I've never found a business that doesn't have those peaks and valleys. And once you build the program like this, when you're saying this single part is your job, then it's easy to duplicate that season after season. And hey, is it a great experience sitting there cutting out sublimation paper? Maybe not necessarily, but you're also seeing what's going on all around you. You're showing that employer that, hey, you know what? I come to work every day on time and I do my job. That is an opportunity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key point, Terry, is like I said, it's not all that glamorous. It's not all that great to kind of continue the monotony over and over again, but it gives you a chance to absorb what's going on. I mean, yes, you're doing that, but you're also seeing the other parts and pieces. So you can be learning those things. And then B, like you said, it gives you an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to work hard every day. And when you need a full-time employee, I'll be ready for you. And in fact, to pick the gift, a lot of the full-time employees started out that way, temps that we brought in to help out. And now they're key cogs in the system. And it didn't take that long to get from point A to point B. So,
and any students out there listening, showing up on time every day and showing up every day, that seems like a small thing. You might be surprised about how quickly you get offered that full-time job.
Yeah. The showing up is half the battle, and that absolutely is true. I mean, there are plenty of jobs out there. It's just a need. You got to show up. I think kind of we've lost track of what putting in a full day's work really means, So you would be very surprised how easily you can work your way up the ladder in a lot of these production kind of companies by just showing up, doing your job, being friendly, being helpful, being willing to do more than what you were hired to do too. So, it doesn't take long to kind of move up.
And showing up with a good attitude,
I'll try to show up with a better attitude, Terry. Keep making that point. I'm working on it. Darn it. All right. A couple of quick comments here, and I know I've missed a bunch, but and I posted this one a little bit earlier. Too quick. Christine Shreve from Enmart says, I'm a huge proponent of manuals. It takes work to put them together, but they're invaluable when you're trying to teach someone a new process that has multiple steps. Also great for reference purposes. Any comments on that, Terry?
I agree with Christine 100%. And it's daunting because you have to sit down and actually think through the process and record it. But once it's done, it's so easy to go back and make tweaks to it and make changes to it. But it's always there as that reference because, when you hire a new employee, it's so easy to say, okay, see Bob over there? Bob's been running that automatic press for 12 years. Stand there and watch Bob do this today. And then tomorrow you're going to load shirts. And then Wednesday you're trained. You're good to go. That's not how we run a business. And Christine is right. It's hard work on the front end, but once you do it, it makes everything else run so much smoothly for the rest of the time you're doing that process. And heck, do it on as an ebook or something that's on the computer so that you can go in and edit it as you go because things change and hopefully you're aware that, hey, the process you did today is not necessarily the process you're going to use tomorrow. And of course I run into that as well. I go into shops and, well, why do you do this? Well, when I started working here, that's what they told me to do. Well, what happens with it? Nothing. Well, we're going to change the process, and that's the scariest thing in the world for employees. Change the process.
And some business owners too. I don't know.
Exactly.
Another point here, Terry. Eric Campbell, we all know very well. My other co-host. I'm just teasing. All right. I told you I had to poke at you a little bit.
Is he in the logo now?
He is. He's kind of like, where's Waldo? You have to find him in the logo. No, he says, beyond that, it brings your staff to life when they teach. You'll never see them be themselves more than you have when they share their mastery. And I think that's a really interesting point, Terry.
I agree.
So I'm going to tell a quick story that kind of takes this back to my love of volleyball. And when I first started playing, I was athletic enough that I was decent. But I actually had an opportunity to be a volunteer assistant for a 12-year-old team early on, and that was the best training that I could ever have when it came to being a volleyball player, was going out and coaching. So I'm teaching these kids the skills, and I had to make sure that I knew what the skills were, so I mastered them myself. B, it brought about this incredible feeling, and like I said, sharing that sense of mastery. I think that's huge. In fact, a lot of the college programs out there are working with local youth volleyball clubs to basically get their kids out to do camps and to do teaching and stuff like that, because it is, when you have to actually think about that skill that you're doing and teach somebody else how to do it, it actually helps you get better at it. So I think that's a really good point there, Eric, that Eric makes. So
I agree. I'm real big on the 52-15 training and 15 minutes a week on some training proposition. And right on the front end of that, I say, hey, this is on you to do this training. You've got staff, you've got people, you've got someone who codes screens every day. Have them do 15 minutes on coding screens and the whys and the why nots of doing that. So take advantage of that and your staff. And I agree with Aaron 100%. It's going to make that employee that much better at what they do by simply having to go through it in their mind about the step-by-step of this process.
Absolutely. So, Andrea Bomarito checking in, Terry. I just wanted to say hello to her. It's been a little while since we've had a chance to talk to her. We actually talked, I went to lunch with her not too long ago, and I think we're going to get her back on the program here soon. Her and her brother, or maybe both of them at different times. So we're still working on that.
Yeah, Andrea's done the show with us many times, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was just funny. I just had to put that up there, Terry. You can eventually become a producer. You just start out as a guest, folks. That's from our producer, Eric Campbell.
Just keep throwing out those comments, and next thing you know, you got a job. Unpaid, of course.
Unpaid, hey.
This is kind of like an internship.
Yeah, it is. It's probably the worst internship that Eric's ever had. So sorry, buddy. All right, Terry.
Exactly what you and I do. So
yeah, exactly. He gets. I'll send him some more swag. I've got my coffee mug, and
there you go.
I need to get him some more swag. I think here's my. I can't call it a YETI. It's a tumbler. Eric says it pays an experience. It really is an experience. He didn't say what kind of experience, but it is an experience. All right. Terry, what about, what other things should we be talking about here in this realm of bringing younger folks into your business?
Sure. I know that one of our listeners already mentioned an apprentice program, but that is really a great way to bring in. Not every high school student wants to or has a desire to go to college. They want to go out and start a career, and so there are high schools specifically for the trades, and this is a great opportunity to hook up with a high school and say, we have an apprentice program. And again, just like with Christine talking about having a manual, you would have to have a whole program of this is the learning process, but this is going to be a student that's going to be a lot more hands-on rather than learning about every part of the business. This is someone who's going to, maybe they're an apprentice on screen printing, and so they're going to actually be on a press, running the press and setting up jobs and tearing down the press and doing all the functions of a regular employee, but on a basis of learning. And so maybe it's a situation where they're in high school from 8 till 11:30, and they spend the afternoon in your shop as part of their curriculum learning that trade. So And it's not just high school or college students, but there are people who are changing careers, and maybe this is their way in the door. So maybe you're gonna pay this person maybe not as much as a press operator, but once they get to a point, then they would have the opportunity, maybe upon graduation, to be offered that full-time job and walk in the door as a totally experienced press operator or whatever job it is. So, but the thing I want to bring home is that there's a commitment on your part. But once you do it one time, then it's really easy. There's a lot of effort on the front end, putting a program together, but then it's just repeat. And of course, you're going to fine tune as you go along and make it better. But I think an apprentice program in any of our businesses can be a great way to give opportunity for someone to learn a trade, give you the opportunity to really give somebody a test run, because at the end of the apprentice program, you can offer them a job or not offer them a job. So I love the idea of it, because there's not a lot of training out there in our arena, with decoration. So I think this is a great way to approach it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree in building all that stuff. And we've got more comments that kind of are backing all this up here. Andrea says, when teaching something, you always have to take a step back and pretend the person you're teaching knows nothing. It helps clear your mind and actually think through the steps rather than just going through the motions. Which then she follows up with, which definitely helps create manuals. I think this is really interesting here too, Terry. Christine says, I think we need to get back to the idea that there are more ways to be successful than just going to college. I admire people who can pursue and be successful in a trade. I have no mechanical aptitude, so people who can make things work are magical to me. So, which actually took me to head over to the Mike Rowe Works Foundation. We talked about Mike Rowe at the top when we were talking about SkillsUSA and how involved he is with it. He actually has a foundation that he's created, and a lot of it goes to helping kids involved in SkillsUSA get to the national competition, or just kind of scholarships and things like that. Anyhow, I just wanted to read one of the quotes off of his website, because I think this is interesting. It says, the Micro Works Foundation started the profoundly disconnected campaign to challenge the absurd belief that a 4-year degree is the only path to success. The skills gap is here, and if we don't close it, it swallows us all, which is a long way of saying we could use your help, meaning, get involved and help these kids out and those kinds of things. So I just,
Aaron, yesterday on the news, I saw that a college degree, the cost is going to double again in like the next 10 years. And, I don't know about you. When I started college, I could make enough money over the summer to pay my tuition. By my junior year, that was out the window because of how quickly the costs increased. And Aaron, as you've heard me say 1,000 times, armed with my degree in journalism from Ohio University, I accidentally became a screen printer. So,
yeah, I spent a couple of semesters at the University of Arizona and decided I was done with school, and here I am. So non-college educated, and I've got my own podcast. So hey.
Exactly, School Hard Knocks.
Awesome. All right, Terry. Well, I think we've had an awesome conversation here. I do want to just encourage everybody to get involved with we talked about SkillsUSA, and we were able to help, I think, get a lot of people kind of involved at the national level. But I also want to encourage people to go to your local schools or your local chapters of SkillsUSA or other programs and things like that. Technical colleges, like Jeff was mentioning earlier, there's plenty of those around that. Just go get involved. Like I said, you mentioned Brian and Alan Howe taking tours of a screen printing facility when they were of high school, college age. Just offer those things up. Allow them to come in and see how much fun you guys are having in your business and how much fun it is to create and be creative and be part of this awesome world that we're all part of. So I guess to me, the most important thing that I want people to take from today's show, Terry, is go out there, get involved, give of yourself, and it will come back to you many more fold than any time or money you could spend being a part of these things.
Exactly right. Well, Aaron, we're coming up with about 5 minutes left to go in the show and a few more things to cover. So let's hear a word from our longtime sponsor, Equipment Zone. Our show today is sponsored by Equipment Zone. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000 direct-to-garment printer. Equipment Zone is the only Epson reseller who sends a technician to every customer location for training. This is an absolutely free visit to your location. Equipment Zone is also the manufacturer of the #1 pre-treat machine in the industry, the Speed Treater TX. With no compressor and no special tanks, the Speed Treater TX is the easiest and most consistent pre-treat machine available worldwide. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000, the Speed Treater TX, and for all your DTG inks and supplies. That's equipmentzone.com. That's equipmentzone.com. And we want to thank Equipment Zone for being a longtime sponsor. Aaron, next week we'll talk a little bit about their new Epson showroom that's completed now and has quite a variety of large format Epson printers beyond direct to garment and sublimation. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But Aaron, do you have any events coming up or different programs that you're involved in?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry to leave you hanging out there, but yeah, Terry, the biggest thing that I've been working on, and I've talked about it on the last few, I've been talking about for at least a month now, but I'm really enjoying my Saturday morning Small Business Saturdays videos. So hashtag SBS video. And this week, I'm going to be talking about the most important questions business owners must always be asking. So I continue to kind of try to find the perfect time slot on Saturday mornings for my schedule and everybody else's. But we're going to try 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific this week. So if you head over to aaronmontgomery.info/SBS video, or you can go over to my Facebook page, facebook.com/aaronmontgomery.info. What about you, Terry?
Well, I have, it scared me a little bit looking at, as I started filling this in last night, because while I'm having a couple of weeks at home, my calendar filled in substantially after that. So my my next complete screen printing business course in Phoenix will be at Workhorse Products, July 21st and 22nd. And that class is filling up. So if you're interested in coming to Phoenix in July, actually Workhorse has a resort nearby where you get a super rate and they will actually bring you to the class. So August 1st, I'll be doing the Epson DTG day-long seminar in Long Beach, California, the day before the NBM show there. August 2nd through 4th, I'll be exhibiting with the Equipment Zone there. My complete screen printing business course in Chicago will be at Atlas Screen Supply on August 18th through 19th. August 23rd, I'm going to be in Secaucus, Meadowlands, New Jersey. That's New York City. For the all-day seminar. August 24th and 25th, NBM will be having a 2-day show there in Secaucus. If you don't know where Secaucus is, it's where you change trains going into New York City. So, and then one more, September 8th, I'll be doing an intro to DTG seminar at the ISS show in Orlando. It's going to be Saturday, 10:30 to 12. I'll be heading to the airport at 12:15 and heading for home. And all my upcoming events, Aaron, are going to be available at terrycombs.com under tour dates.
Absolutely. And Eric says he's going to see you out at Deco. So I'm going to have to find somebody or out at NBM with Deco Network. So he'll see you there. I'm going to have to find another co-host, it looks like.
Well, you know what, Aaron, that show is, it's 8:00 for us doing the show here on the West Coast. So the show doesn't open till 10. So
you might be available. I don't know. Based on that schedule you just mentioned, though, Eric, be prepared, sir.
The Secaucus will be just the opposite of that. I'll probably be tied up for that one.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Wow. Busy guy. Well, check that out. terrycombs.com under tour dates. But Terry, it's time. And sorry, it's almost time. Andrea says, do you have a tour shirt?
Where would I get a thing like that?
I know.
I totally need to do that, Andrea. I'm going to do that and have all my tour dates on the back. I love it.
All right. And then you can post that on Instagram.
I can.
Awesome.
But will
All right.
I can, but will I?
Christine's
That's what you're really
offering
saying, right?
I'm just saying, Terry. I'm just saying. All right. 5 things, everybody. Terry, it is your floor. So go.
Yeah, these are all quotes. 5 things to say before an owner, senior manager goes on vacation. Number 1, I am leaving XXX in full charge in my absence. Somebody in your shop is in charge. Number 2, these are the upcoming tasks to be accomplished while I'm gone. Number 3, I have complete confidence in all of you to do your jobs and continue on smoothly. Number 4, contact me only in case of a true emergency. What I used to say to my staff is, I better hear sirens in the background if you're calling me. Number 5, leave me no notes, messages, unfinished business, or decisions on my desk. Take care of everything in my absence. Don't leave me a pile of things that you could not decide on in my absence. And I have a number 6 here, Aaron, and it's not really a quote. It's, if you can't say any of these things, you're running your business wrong. So you have to be able to leave your business in somebody else's hands and go enjoy a week off.
Wow, that's a scary thing, but I think you're right there, Terry. So who is XXX?
It's you. I'm leaving Aaron in full charge in my absence.
Isn't there like a movie with what's that one guy's name? But anyways. All right, guys. Well, we've come to the close of another show. Thanks so much to everybody for participating today. It was such great feedback from all of our listeners here. I could list everybody on and on, but just get over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/2regularguys, and check out all the comments. And even after the fact, start commenting. Let's keep this conversation going.
Sure.
Fantastic stuff.
And we want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell with Deco Networks. You can also find Eric at ericcampbell.com. We also want to thank our sponsors, the Specialty Graphic Imaging Association, SGIA, and Equipment Zone. We appreciate your support.
And next week's show, we're going to welcome back Christine Shreve, who's been active in the comments section today. And we're going to continue our discussion about social media. But this week, we're going to talk about social media is not non-profit, meaning we're going to discuss paid social media advertising and how to do that and maximize your budget. And Christine's got some great information on this. So bring your yellow legal pad, Terry. It will be a great show.
Hey, using my journalism degree, not non-profit. That's a double negative. But hey, until then, he's here in Montgomery. I'm Terry Combs, and we are the two regular guys.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.